What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We are out here in the shop working on Trader, the X3. Doing a little bit of maintenance, preventative maintenance, I guess I would call it, to a certain extent. If you guys didn't see the last video, if you guys didn't see the end of our last Badlands video, I guess I'll catch you up to date. I had a RCV axle boot ripped somewhere at the Badlands. Not entirely sure where or what caused it. Not exactly thrilled either about the fact that I ripped another one. So that's the first one. It twisted on day one, just being transparent with you guys. You know how we give it to you guys straight on what parts and stuff we run and what happens to them. So I got these axles brand new out of the box. One of the boots twisted and ripped day one, literally just riding around a field across my house in the snow. So tore them all apart then, and then put new boots on them. And RCV sent me all the stuff, the grease, the tool, everything I needed to fix them. Didn't have time in between trips to send the axles out to them to have them rebuilt, so I did it myself. It sucks. I mean, the job sucks, to be totally honest with you. So let me show you on the axle in my rig. So if you see here, like this cup, you gotta get off of the shaft, and in order to do that, you just beat this piece down off the shaft. And there's a clip, a C-clip, on the end of the splines of your axle shaft, which you can see right here. And the only way to remove the actual stub part of the axle, is breaking that clip. So you have to just smash it with a hammer, break the clip, which it breaks pretty easy. But then the unfortunate part is then those pieces either can get hopefully stuck in the groove that it sits in on the axle, or unfortunately, both times that I've done it now, pieces of them go into the CV joint. So then you got to pry the CV joint apart, take all the balls out of it, and completely disassemble the CV joint until you find the missing piece. Now, is that 100% needed? I don't really know. I'm not sure if you could just leave that piece in the axle CV and you know, it's like softer metal and maybe it would just eat it up if you couldn't get it out. But I spent like a half hour cleaning that stupid joint just to find the clip, because I don't want that to be the end of my CV joint or my axle or cause a failure. So I don't know, definitely not one of my favorite things to do, but I didn't want to run with the ripped boot and get water in there and then destroy the joint either. So figured I'd tear it down and replace the boot. So I reached out to RCV prior to this, after that last trip when I found out that I had ripped boot. I asked if they would be willing to go through these axles and replace the boots for me and put new boots on it and start fresh, since I also have this axle over here. Can't really see it, but it's leaking grease. It's flinging grease like all over the diff and stuff. Not a whole lot, but it is starting to leak some grease. So not thrilled about that either. And reached out to them, asked if they wanted to rebuild these axles for me. They're in Rockford, Illinois, so it's only about an hour from me. So I would have either driven there to them and had them rebuilt, because it's just better than me doing it myself. Plus, would have had good peace of mind knowing that they disassembled them all and reassembled them all with fresh boots, and maybe I had a bad batch of boots or something. But anyways, they weren't willing to comp the labor, so they did send me new boots, and we went with these black boots for the outers, which I believe is the same boot as up there. So there's talk that maybe they're a little bit more durable than the orange boots. So I figured I'd give it a try, being that the orange boot obviously isn't working out. Unfortunately though, I don't think it's worth me tearing the whole passenger side of the rig apart to swap that orange boot to a black boot. I'll probably just wait and see how long that boot lasts till that one rips. Then I'll throw the black boot over there. So I'll be mismatching, you know, but it'll be orange boot on the passenger side and black boot on the driver's side, which kind of sucks as far as like aesthetic goes. You know, you spend a lot of money on this stuff, and to be running an orange and a black boot, I mean, let's be real, half the reason you buy RCVs because, you know, when you run those orange boots, you know you got the serious stuff in the off-road world. But all jokes aside, a boot's a boot, so hopefully this one's more durable and it works out better for me. But got the rig tore down and already changed the boot, as you can see. Just make sure you clean this down real good with some brake cleaner, so that way this has a good surface to clamp down to. And then I repacked it with the RCV grease. So we should be good to go there. Just gotta throw this rig back together. And then we will show you guys our new wheel and tire setup. So pretty excited about that. I love appearance, so and it's kind of a running joke, like between me and my buddies and stuff. Like I always will pick appearance over function in certain aspects. I still like function, clearly, but decided while I was in between trips here and while I was getting some new tires on the wheels to switch it up a little bit. So we'll see that later in this video once I get the rig thrown back together. And then also just got a little bit more maintenance. I'm running these aluminum sliders or body protection, whatever you want to call it. We're not a big fan of like the tubular tree kicker style, as far as, although they are strong, they add width to the rig. So like when you're in rock gardens and banked trails and things like that, you know, your rig could get pinched because of your tube slider. So like instead of having, you know, that piece of metal there, you'd have a tube sticking out like an inch or two, giving you, you know, more stuff to get hung up on. So we all ran them on our YXZs. Seemed like it hurt us more than it helped us, so we kind of went to this method. But it appears one of the bolts holding my slider on broke, so gonna try and address that in today's video also. So I'll let you guys know what I do, but I'm hoping I can just run a bolt through the frame, get a different grade 8 bolt and bog it through the whole frame and sandwich it through. Aside from that, that's about it. I mean, probably gonna take my mirrors off. I know a lot of you guys like looking at the broken mirror, but I think I'm gonna delete those for this next trip. So just doing a little prep for our next trip. And yeah, so I'm gonna get this rig thrown back together, and we'll get back to you when she's back on all four. Alright guys, well there she is. Thing looks freaking rad. I am super hyped on the turnout of this stuff, of this wheel and tire setup. As you guys know, I was running a 32-inch Roxxzilla sticky 14-inch rim with Alba Crushers. So I'm still running same setup, just a fresh set of tires. Still went with a 32. Same wheels. I just took them apart and had them powder coated reverse. So now it used to be a green ring and then a black face. And the problem was the powder was literally just falling off of the rings. And the face stayed nice because this was protecting in here. So instead this time I reversed it and I went black out here, green in there. Mainly, I mean, I wanted to be different for one. And then two, I just thought it would make more sense because now if I ever, like, once a year or so, I'll touch this thing up, or once a season, maybe every couple rides, you know, depending on what's going on with my life or whatever, I'll touch this thing up with some spray paint and make her look nice again. But I couldn't really do that with the way it was set up before. I had gold bolts for the beadlock bolts, and then the green was hard to match, and then in between all these crevices was raw billet. So it's like I couldn't just spray paint it to touch it up, or, you know, touch it up with like a paint pen. I couldn't do that. I had to, basically there was no way to touch it up. Anyways, Now the theory is I could get a piece of cardboard, I could shove it back behind here, and I could touch this up with some gloss black spray paint, and have her looking sharp again. So today's Sunday, so gonna wrap up out here in the shop for today. But I'm gonna continue this video on and clean this thing up and get some more glamour shots and show you guys around the rig a little bit more. Talk a little bit more why I stuck with a 32, and yeah, go from there. So I'm gonna jump to the future here to sometime later this week when I'm working on the rig. But hope you guys like it. I'm ecstatic. I think these wheels, I think the thing looks just mean. I mean, it's nasty. I'm hyped. So we'll see you guys in a little bit. Alright guys, got the rig loaded up. It's been a little bit of a time jump since I was filming this video. Just realized I never wrapped it up. I wanted to talk quickly about why I stuck with a 32, since I know a lot of you guys are curious on that. Just simply the steering isn't the greatest on these rigs. I mean, it works fine, but you see all the posts about ball joints and steering racks wearing out and tie rod failure and et cetera, wheel bearings, toe link bolts. Like, there's a lot of problems with these machines when they get abused, and as you guys know, we abuse them extremely hard. And the more tire, the more leverage, the faster this stuff wears out, as well as brakes. I can't keep a set of brake pads on this thing to save my life, and I don't even really use the brakes very much, so kind of interesting there. But if you guys got a good set, a good brand for brake pads for an X3, let me know. I've tried a few now, and not overly impressed with any of them. So but aside from that, 32, 14, I debated on going with 35, but mainly the reasoning I just explained on why I didn't do it, as well as the gearing. I mean, that plays into it for me too. You know, we do a lot of very technical rock crawling stuff, and the taller diameter of a tire, the worse your gearing gets. I mean, that's why everybody does gear reduction, like the Polaris's you have to do, clutching, belt life. I mean, the list goes on why I stuck with 32s. I do know that it would help ground clearance. I do know that it would make things easier for the rig to crawl sometimes, but those couple times that you got to give the rig a beat down, I mean, it is just so hard on the drivetrain. Even built components can't hold up to that. There's people that are breaking, I believe they're breaking the ring or pinion gear on the Halo 30. And I mean, that's full savagery, beat down, 35s, landing in the throttle, that kind of thing. Which obviously you'd have to be mindful of doing that if you decided to run 35s. But for me, sticking with 32s. Maybe one day I'll go 35s, but 32s got me a lot of places, and we'll see where else they can get me. So we're loaded up. We're headed down to Missouri to ride Moonlight and S'more. So get excited for that. Those trips are going to be sick. We're excited, meeting up with the crew. And aside from that, guys, we are pretty much loaded up, and we're going to hit the road. So hit that subscribe button, grab some merch, best way to support the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Also, guys, forgot to mention, I did get my slider bolted back up, threw a new bolt in there. There's actually an access hole right there. Probably didn't see it, but there's an access hole there. Bolted that one down, tightened up these bolts, and I also got this thrown back together with a black boot, and we will see how long the black boot lasts. Hopefully they do a little better. Left the orange boot on this side So it is mismatching, but I didn't want to tear the rig apart just for that. So just forgot to mention this in the last clip. See ya.